Okay, great afternoon. I wanted to bring something to people's attention. The ones that are behind all of this are the Federalist Society. They gave Trump a list of judges to pick from. Okay, and so I'm going to read this, but some of the big backers, just some things to know. Some of the big backers are, of course, getting money. These senators are getting money from this Federalist group. Okay? And can we guess who they are? McConnell, Grassley, Graham. Those that are screaming the loudest are the ones that are getting paid by this Federalist Society. Okay? Now let's look at, I'm going to read some of these things. So excuse me, it's going to be a bit boring, but it's something that people should pay attention to. Donors to the Federalist Society include Google, Chevron, Charles G. David H. Koch, the Family Foundation of Richard Melton Scaffey, and the Mercer family. Also, some donors, if you look at their list, let me see if I can pull this up. Judicial crisis, let me see if I have this in fact anymore. Well, I don't have it now. But McConnell, okay, her and her husband are paying to the Federalist Society. A number of people that are there on Trump's staff are paying big money to this Federalist. Oh, here it is. Hold it. George and Kellyanne Conway. They've given $50,000 to $99,000 to this group. Okay. There's a big list that you can look it up. Donors Fuel Federalist Society Expansion. And you can get the name of all of these people that are giving money to this Federalist Society. Okay, you might be surprised at some of them. But again, when I see his second that he's got in there, Kellyanne Conway, big, huge donor there, okay, it raises some flags. Another big flag that is raised is GCN, or called Judicial Crisis Network, was originally housed in the office of the American Center for Law and Justice, run by Jay Sekulow. Who's the president's lawyer? Jay Sekulow. Again, another one of these Federalist supporters. So let's go ahead and go through this. Members of the society helped to encourage President Bush's decision to terminate nearly a half-century-old practice of rating qualifications for office for judicial nominees by the American Bar Association. Since the administration of President Dwight D. Eisenhower, the American Bar Association provided the service to presidents of both parties and the nation by vetting the qualifications of those under consideration for a lifetime appointment to the federal judiciary. The society alleged that the Bar Association showed a liberal bias in its recommendations. Critics say that the organization favors judicial activism, in particular on social issues. Many members of the Federalist Society favor overturning Roe v. Wade, the Supreme Court ruling that permits abortion. The organization tends to favor judges who take on conservative stances on abortion rights and other social issues. Members of the Federalist Society have presented oral arguments in every single abortion case that has been before the Supreme Court since 1992. The Federalist Society shares strong ties with political advocacy groups within the Christian family values movement. Okay? Many civil rights advocates believe that because our history has been one of the systematic exclusion of racial minorities and women from social, political, and economic institutions and from positions of power and influence, that the conservative view leads to the continuation of exclusion and retards society's ability to move forward towards inclusion. The Federalist Society has forcefully argued against regulations on guns. Members hold the Second Amendment protects the rights of individuals to guns, as opposed to being a collective right to arms. At the time of the Federalist Society's creation, and since the 19th century, the Supreme Court and academics had held a more restrictive view of gun rights. The Federalist Society was influential in shifting legal views on gun rights, culminating in the Supreme Court ruling, the District of Columbia versus Heller, which struck down gun regulations in the District of Columbia that required guns to be kept loaded, unloaded, and disassembled or bound by a trigger lock. The Federalist Society had a significant influence on Citizens United Supreme Court ruling, which seriously weakened regulations on campaign finance contributions. The Federalist Society has been influential in the Trump administration, hand-selecting Supreme Court Justice Neil Gorsuch and recruiting a slate of conservative judges to fill vacancies throughout the federal judiciary. The Society helped to assemble the list of 21 people from which Donald Trump said he would choose a nominee to replace Antonin Scalia, on the U.S. Supreme Court. 9 of the 21 individuals spoke at the Society's annual convention in late November 2016, while nearly all of the others were in attendance. Federalist Society members have generally chosen not to criticize President Donald Trump. Politico described the Federalist Society membership as an elite conservative lawyers who generally chosen to give Trump a pass on his breaches of long-cherished legal norms and traditions in exchange for the gift of putting on Justice Neil Gorsuch. Are you getting this? We'll give him a pass on all the stuff that he's doing, all the illegal things he's doing. Just get Gorsuch in, okay? Federalist Society Executive Vice President Leonard Leo said what President Trump has done with the judicial selection and appointments is probably at the very center of his legacy and may be his greatest accomplishment thus far. In May 2018, the Federalist Society hosted a phone call entitled Examining the Legality of the Mueller Investigation, where one of the featured speakers has argued that Special Counsel Robert Mueller's investigation into Russia interference in the 2016 election is unconstitutional. Are you getting this? It's unconstitutional. Okay? Some of the people that belong to the Federalist Society are Supreme Court Chief Justice John Roberts, former United States Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia, Supreme Court Justice Samuel Alito, Clarence Thomas, Neil Gorsuch, the United States Courts of Appeals Judge Thomas Griffith, Alex Kozinski, former Chief Judge of the United States Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit, the Court of Appeals Judge, Fifth Circuit, Edith Brown Clement. This is a winner here, Senator Ted Cruz. Isn't that special? and Senator Todd Young, Republican Senator of Indiana. Judicial Crisis Network comes in here, and this is an organization that was set up in 2005, and it's a dark money group. Okay? And did we get that? It was run by Jay Sekulow. Okay? So I looked up, and again, this dark money group is funding Grassley, Graham, all the ones that are over there screaming the loudest, McConnell, okay? And they're being paid by Mercer's, Koch brothers. You can look up the donor list that's giving to the Federalist Society. Okay? So this is coming to a constitutional crisis. When these smears came up, when these things came out about Kavanaugh, they stepped up and they're doing millions of dollars in ads to say he's being smeared. Okay? This one girl that talks on CNN that's she belongs to the Federalist Society. The one that you want to reach through the thing and just slap her upside the head. Okay? These people have no conscience. They're out for one thing, money, and taking over the Supreme Court to get rid of regulations. Again, they want to put states in control. They want to put, quote unquote, religious freedom, which means they will be more against gay rights, against women, against abortion. All of these things are rolled into their nasty little agendas. Okay? And that's why this is so important. Now, one thing I have to say, if Kavanaugh gets in, let's suppose he gets in before the Democrats take. The one good thing with Kavanaugh is when Democrats get the House and Senate, they could bring him up for impeachment because of his absolute, you look at his temperament, you look at his saying that everything is a payback for Clinton, okay? So he's absolutely 100% unfit to be a judge on the Supreme Court. Now, if he does not get in, and they get in another one of these Federalist judges, and oh, trust me, one that they are going to push to get in will be one of the Federalists. That's the only thing he's got on his list with Trump. Like I said, they'll give him a pass. They'll rule in his favor. They'll give him a pass. Okay? For all that he's doing. So the next one maybe will not be so easy to impeach and get out. Kavanaugh is much easier to impeach and get out because of he's not qualified to be there. His temperament and everything are disqualifying. So he would be again able to be impeached. That's the one good thing about Kavanaugh, okay? Because he's really a loose cannon. They were behind holding that seat open and not let Merrick Garland get in, the Federalist Society, with McConnell and these Grassley and Graham. Okay, all the ones that are screaming memes, they're getting this dark money behind the scenes, they're the ones that are behind it. So really these people need to be voted out this time, because what they're trying to bring in is to ruin our country, to take us back to when the Constitution was first written and we had slavery, okay? If they could take it back to then, That's what they mean about we're not what the law is supposed to be. We're going to go on what the law is. From way back then. Okay? When there was no abortion rights, no gay rights, that's what they're trying to do. Take us back to where really you could have slavery. Okay? Where there's no government control, it's all run by state. Religious freedom, so, family first, this nonsense things that they have. Really look up the judicial crisis. What's it called? Judicial Crisis Network, and just read some of the stuff they put out there. Look up the donor list to the Federalist Society. Get a clue. Do a little research and just see really how heinous this is. And let's thank God that this is coming up now, that Trump got in, that we can see what's going on, okay? So let's thank God that we got somebody as bad as Trump in there to open our eyes to just how insidious this is, because otherwise we may not have seen it until it's too late. Now we are in a position to make a blue wave, and once they get in to start changing these laws about this electoral college vote and change the system before we lose our country. Okay, so I'm going to leave this here. I hope everyone is having a good day. Thank you for tuning in and being online. I will see you online. Thank you for your questions. Aho!